Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds. We are live tonight. Been I get this request every so often, and just Mark, can we just have a good old question and answer session? And I'm more than happy to do that. And I think the last one we did was midsummer, so midwinter sounded perfect for this because I know you guys have lots of questions. So we're going to give people a chance to get on here. Like I said, we always talk about how the different platforms take time. Melanie's got TikTok going over there and Instagram. And do we have Instagram going?
Yeah, we have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok.
Wow, all four programs going tonight. So give people a chance to get in and first introduce ourselves. My name is Mark McKellar. I'm a wildlife biologist who owns the Backyard Bird Center, a retail store here in Kansas City, Missouri. And I say I own, but Melanie and I, my wife sitting here beside her, who doesn't like to be on camera. You might see a hand come over here and wave, but she and I, she does all the hard work. She's the mathematic brains of it, the accounting brains, and all that stuff I hate to deal with. And like I said, I've studied birds now for over 40 years. Love them. I birdwatch as a hobby. I lead tours. I've run nature centers. I was a wildlife biologist on Fort Bragg, which I guess is getting its name back, changing it back to Fort Bragg in North Carolina, where we grew up, really close to there. And so my background is pretty varied. And what I learned in my profession was that I actually love to teach. I love to teach people, especially kids, about birds and nature as a whole. So I ran nature centers for many years. And when my wife and I bought this retail store, we decided our business model was that we were going to make education the entire basis of our operation. So if we feel like if we can give people good, sound, scientific, accurate information, and we do crazy things like talk people out of buying stuff they don't need, that people will support us, and they have, and you guys have done that. We joined here on YouTube now. It's grown incredibly, and you guys are great supporters. We're at, I think, 15,400, something like that, members now. And we have had over 2 million views. So we're very proud of what's happened with the YouTube channel. We hope you guys are learning from us and enjoying it. And we always want to start by checking in with folks and see who's here as we welcome people in. And here's somebody that's hadn't been on for a little bit. Hi, Steve. It used to be Steve from South Alabama, now the Cumberland Plateau in Tennessee. So welcome in. I know you had a family thing that took you away for a couple of months, but thanks for joining in tonight. Andrew from Cincinnati, a real regular. I know you had an exciting week. You posted pictures of the pileatids in your backyard, and you got bluebirds calling all around you. Hopefully they're going to be checking out your bluebird boxes. It's been a good transition for you for sure. Hi, Jan from Belton, Missouri, just south of the Kansas City region here. She's just a little bit south. Thank you, Andrew, for being a member, insider member of Mark's Backyard Birds now for 6 months. Wow, time flies, but we thank you for your support. Hello, Jay and Carol. You've had quite a yard full the last couple of weeks too. Some great shots and flickers and things in your yards. So welcome in. Let's see. Hi, Lisa from Ontario, Canada. Thank you. Glad you could join in with us. Thanks for your support, not alienating us. Things going on with Canada right now are ridiculous. So thanks for supporting us. Hi, Rick from North Carolina. I know we just mailed out some stuff to you. Hopefully you'll have that in the next day or two. Hi, Keith from Houston, Carolina. Chickadees gathering nesting material. I bet you are. Yeah, down there, they are well into it. I bet you nesting starts early. And I've told before on this that, many years I learned that spring moves north 12 miles a day, and maybe 17 by now. But you guys in the southern states are really getting into the nesting season now, where our birds are singing, but they're not many going to start laying eggs this early. But Hi, Shirley from San Antonio. Welcome in, a real regular visitor. Hi, Greg from South Georgia. My girls are chasing one another. Yeah. I love the way they jump up in the air and they flap their wings, and I've seen them chase around grasshoppers, bouncing after them and things like that. Mockingbirds are amusing birds. I love them. All right. Fort Bragg never lost his name here. Yeah, believe me, having grown up 20 miles from there, and the early part of my life, I actually lived in Fayetteville. So, yeah, to me, it's always been. But I guess the sign makers are going to put in some overtime, switching all the signs back out that they did change. Hello, Sandy from Kankakee, Illinois. Welcome in. All right, Joe. Hey, Mark. Joe from Long Island. First time catching you live. Got into birding last year, and I'm completely sucked in. It has a way of doing that, Joe. Yes. Just want to thank you. You're welcome. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, I've been helpful on your journey in this for this last year. It's definitely my passion, and the more people that I can inspire and encourage to get out and explore the world of birds. And I just yesterday it came up with the spring bird hikes. And we go every Thursday morning in April and May, and we also do some other bird hikes as well. But we're changing our website over. Backyardbirdcenter.com is going to go away, and it's almost gone away now. But we're now our website and our calendar page and all that is all over on either shopbackyardbirdcenter.com or marksbackyardbirds.com. And we've put the first program, the Sunday hike, up there, and we've had like 20 people sign up for this bird hike from all over the country. And now we are so confused. We don't know what people think they're getting when they're signing up to that. I don't think they're planning on coming from all over the country to Smithville Lake here in Missouri, March 9th. I don't know if they think that it's going to be a virtual program, which it's not. So we got to clear up that confusion, because I'm getting ready to post all the other spring bird hikes up there. And I don't want people to, be signing up for something and they think I don't know, it's going to be a broadcast. I don't know. It says on it, in-person hike and I don't know, but if you've fallen victim to that, I'm sorry for any confusion.
Tell us why. Tell us.
Yeah, if you can explain, if you can tell us why, something we can do to clarify that. I appreciate it. All right, let's see. Lucian from New York City, welcome in from the Big Apple. Just wrote a paper in my management class about Fort Bragg and the red cockaded woodpeckers. I've held them in my hand, Stephanie.
Yeah, you worked on the project.
I did work on the red cockaded woodpecker project. I was actually the quail biologist on post and the fisheries biologist during my time there. But the red cockaded woodpecker team needed help on lots and lots with that project. And so, yes, we extracted the babies from nests and banded them. And so I've held red cockaded woodpeckers. I've chased them all over Fort Bragg. So well done. Congratulations on getting that paper done. They love those old 70-plus-year-old longleaf pine trees. Wonderful. Tiff from Georgia. Well, I like that name, birder. Yep. Likewise. Hello, Mark. West Virginia. Great, beautiful state, West Virginia. Same the young back. Yep. Kankakee. I remember that. Lisa, I have a serious question. I had lived 6 or so hours away from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. Yes. Would it be worth it for a road trip? Spring migration or any other time, please advise. At least I've never been to Ithaca. I would imagine it would be a great. I know they've got feeder setups, and I bet they have trails. But I've actually had lunch with the director of the Cornell Lab of Ornithology years ago in Pittsburgh, but I've never been there, so I can't speak to what it's like on campus there. So I would think it would be wonderful. I know Jamestown, New York, which is not, I don't think too far from there, is the birthplace of Roger Torrey Peterson, the founder of the Modern Bird Field Guide, and if I would love to pay pilgrimage to him, but I don't know what's there in the way of any kind of a little museum or anything. But he's someone I would certainly want to honor if you're going out that way. Stephen Jr. from Northeast Illinois. Welcome in, Stephen. Neo Mark, love your channel. Well, thank you. Hammond, Indiana. The guy who got me started bird watching last name was Hammond. John's out there if you're out there somewhere. Sandy, you guys start communicating with each other. I love it. Greg looks like a blue reclaiming a nest box for a second year. Good. Yeah, the bluebirds are checking out nests, taking in grass, things like that in a lot of the region. I know you guys south, they're actually building good nests, but right now they're just kind of pair bonding right now. And that's new next. Absolutely. Remember, you can't have those nest boxes closer than 100 yards, unless you have a real serious sight line between two open areas. But bluebirds, males won't tolerate another male bluebird within about 100 yards or 300 feet between your boxes. You might get a chickadee in one box, but you won't have two bluebirds too close. Bobby, I said, that's the first I've seen Bobby's name in quite a while. Welcome in, Bobby. Thank you for joining us. All right. East Tennessee here. Jim E, only 63 here. Yeah, seeing bluebirds checking out the boxes. That's right. That's exactly what's happening. One of the things that's happening, and I know we're going to get into the questions here, but last week, and Carrie tests to it, and whenever people were in the store last week, and it was not so schizo because it was still really cold, still a lot of snow on the ground. The bird feeders were going bananas, and I was warning people that this week was going to be totally different. I said, don't be surprised if next week your feeders die. Because like I said, it went from, lows in the single digits to as high of 63, like 65, whatever it was today. And boy, the bird feeders have just slowed down. I had my cup of dried mealworms on my window feeder, usually last maybe an hour. Has lasted the last 2 days. And I mean, the birds are doing what they're supposed to do. They're out there taking advantage of Mother Nature's buffet line that has been opened up by the melting of the snow. So those birds are going back out there after eating French fries every day for the last month and a half. And now they're out there getting natural food and varying their diet like they need to, and they should. But the feeders are much slower. And I've had two different people bring back bags of bird seed saying, oh, there's something wrong with this bird seed. They won't eat it. And all it is a slowdown. And they had one gentleman who understood and agreed. The other guy was convinced that I'd sold him a bad bag of bird seed and was not going to take no for an answer. But that's retail. But no, they'll be back and they eat that seed just fine. But it happens every year, and it just this year was so exaggerated for the length of the cold snap we had here in Kansas City, and I know across a lot of the country. Hi, Boston guy, welcome in, another real regular. I wish I lived out that way so I could go in here. I do too. I know several of you guys that are followers and would like to come on the bird hikes. I wish I could go do bird hikes in your area. I'd love to go bird watching and take you around and in your part of the world. Can't talk. Hi, Carol. Absolutely. Thank you for joining in. I'll tell you, you guys are great. I love the support. And let's see, something about the bird walking. Got excited, but then I saw that it was in person. Yeah.
Okay. So
okay. Yeah, that's good to hear.
I think they might be just trying to sign up for the email too.
Yeah, that's the other thing we were worried about is that people were thinking they were signing up for the email list that we have, and they were using that form. I don't know. Like I said, we've run over a few scenarios in our head trying to figure out what's going on there.
We're learning still.
You captured the cedar waxwing bird in South Texas. Hold on a minute. I want to show you something. Let's look this. This give me a chance. I can't talk during this, but I do want to show you this and how beautiful these guys really are. Cedar waxwings are beautiful. Yes, I love that little video clip I caught on the Blink camera there at my bird bath. And I love that clip for a lot of reasons. One of, me and I'm the water warrior. providing water is so important. And that's a great example of a bird that you won't get at your bird feeder. But if you offer unfrozen water, you definitely can get them. And you can get them during different times of the year, but they flock up like that, especially in the fall and winter, and we see them. But cedar waxwings are absolutely gorgeous. So thank you for that, Jay. That set me up. That reminded me I had that video clip loaded up tonight. All right, let me get back to here. All right.
You're up here somewhere.
Where I'm up here?
Yeah, somewhere.
Okay, let's see. What county are you in? Oh, you guys are talking to each other again. There you go. Absolutely. Bluebirds are a big topic on this channel, especially on the lives.
They're saying hi to each other.
Everybody's saying hi. All right. You're welcome. Good, Matthew. I really love hearing that. I mean, that's to make me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm, doing what I'm meant to do. The terrible, oh boy. Those mockingbirds. Oh my gosh. The goldfinch. You guys, Elsie, I've never seen so many goldfinches in some of the videos you've been posting. Wow, swarms. Is your weather still pretty cold up there? Are you mild it up? I guess you probably have, but you got a lot of them. See, okay, there you go. Again, you guys communicating. Hello, Ellie. Yes, exactly. Maybe half of the birds we were a week or so ago. Well, guys, we're going to check in with some more. Thank you. There's Andrew's reminder to please give us a thumbs up, the heart, whichever. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And don't forget to ring the bell. That way you get notifications when we're going to be on. That's important. People think just because they subscribe, they'll get those notifications. But you do have to do the little bell symbol to make sure you do get the symbol for those things to show up, the notifications to show up for you. Birds are usually really enjoying the dusting box we have. That's good. Yeah. They will treat any kind of feather lice, things like that. Those dusting boxes do help them. And they call it anting. Is another thing they do when you get on the ant hills like that. Absolutely. Well, you guys, like I said, we're open tonight for questions. I loaded a few pictures just because I had no idea what you guys were going to be asking about. But you guys are commenting. But if you have questions about whatever, I know I loaded some pictures about anti-starling stuff because they were such a menace this winter. A little bit of information on bluebirds, things like that. But I mean, whatever you want to talk about, that this open format, you guys just keep asking. I'll keep popping the questions up here. Red Canyon tree nested last year.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Pileated could certainly enlarge the size of that hole. Man, they can work on some dead wood.
Did they see your pileated videos? Really?
Yeah, I did. I maybe a week or so. What was it, a week or two ago? Last Thursday, I posted a pileated video. Hope you got to see that. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we love seeing it in the Marks. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. The Marks community page, and Melanie's going to need to put a link in there. We are, 9 members away from 1,000 members of the Marks Backyard Bird community page, which is great. You guys and share, and I think I approved 9 posts today before I got on here. People are really sharing and having questions. I love the way it's interaction with everybody. The Wildlife Center volunteer out here in Ohio has a cedar waxwing, and it's very friendly and fly. Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, it's amazing, when they know you're not a threat and they associate you with food. Yeah, they'll come right up to you. There's several birds I've known over the years. Mockingbirds eating raisins out of people's hands, and peanuts, of course. Peanuts for several of the woodpecker species and blue jay species learning to eat peanuts right out of people's hands. There are several birds that will do that. Absolutely, Andrew. He's talking about the copper disc that you can see in my bird bath video. It's a product from Irva, and it is a copper disc. And it's like a giant penny, but I tell you, it does great for keeping the algae down in the bird baths. It's a game changer since I've started using it. And Andrew ordered one just recently, and that's what he's talking about. It really does cut down your work when it comes to the scrubbing the algae out of your bird baths. 2 weeks and the woodpeckers still haven't found the upside down feeder. Took the advice and hung another good. And yep. Yeah, you can lead a horse to water. Jim, they'll find it. They always do. I've actually had people take the suet cake before they put it in the upside down and actually rub it on the outsides around the four edges of the upside down suet feeder, and then put it in there. Anything to try to bring them up there to find it. And once they do, and once they see one bird eating upside down on it, it doesn't take them long to figure it out after that. But sometimes, what time of year do birds eat American holly berries? What? It's been 33 years since we've had holly berries in our yard. We had them all in North Carolina, but out here in this part of the area, it's actually too dry for American holly trees. And people who landscape with them really have to, provide water and to keep them alive, because our rain is just not good for them, not enough for them. I assume it would be fall and winter, but a lot of times some of those berries, and I wish Mary were on because Mary could answer this, I'm sure, but some of those berries are so hard in the fall, it takes the overwintering of them and some freezing and thawing to soften those berries up. But I'm not sure. I wish I knew the answer to that, but plants are not my specialty. Absolutely. Your daughter wants to join us. Yeah.
She's inviting.
You guys are definitely. Yeah. The mockingbirds can be aggressive. I had a young lady in the store with her grandparents, and their grandparents were from Wyoming, and she was there, but she lives locally, and she's really interested in birds, and she's really soft-spoken, and I was trying to to encourage her to maybe come on, if she can, come on some of our bird hikes through the store, because I think she's got that budding interest. It'd be great for her to get out with bird watchers to help her get into it a little bit more intense. Your diving duck video is timely. If we identify, oh, you got a pond right there. Yeah, I've always wished I lived somewhere with a pond on my property, but it's been many years since and yeah, I mean, it changes daily, even by the hour sometimes, Steve. In migration, those ducks are coming and going, and you keep an eye on it, especially if you got a good spotting scope. It's really, really fun. I love waterfowl. I mean, they're just so interesting. Hello, Mario, another person we've not heard from in a while. Glad you're back. Different robins arrived here north of Montreal. Can mealworms dry would be okay? Live ones would not resist. Yeah, I mean, if you can, the live ones won't live very long at that temperature, at 15 below. But they'll eat fruit. So some people soak raisins in water, cut them up, and put raisins out for them. A lot of times they'll see those other birds feeding at your bird feeders, and they'll jump up there to see, what are you guys getting? And if they can eat a peanut, and they can eat sunflower kernels, much like the bluebirds. They don't crack anything open, but if they find raisins, they find fruit there, they find those mealworms, dried mealworms, live mealworms. I know that some bluebird people that feed a lot of mealworms, they have to kind of work hard to keep the robins out, because once they find those mealworms, they really do take after them. So the live ones will get their attention by the movement. But they'll eat the dried ones once they figure it out. The pilot destroyed the stump. I have it looked like a blender had chopped through the. Yep, Andrew. I know in my video I took. Called them. Our nickname growing up was stump thumpers, because we do find them on the ground a lot, just hammered away, and wood chips flying up in the air. So that's a classic pileated move you had going on there. The only bird my mocking can't bully around are the grackle. Oh, yeah. Anything that grackle displace. And I've seen woodpeckers stand up to them, and they peck at them with their larger bill. But like I said, mockingbirds are so fierce. There's so much show. The big white flashes in their wing, and they flutter and they fly at birds, and but they're not really dangerous, but they're just put on a big act, and the birds get intimidated and fly away. I've heard people say that they actually peck a feather out of a bird's back, and that can happen. Question about finch eye disease, conjunctivitis. I had to take my feeders down when I saw a lot. Yep, absolutely. I would leave it down at least 2 weeks, Stephanie. make sure you clean it up, and of course use that 10% bleach solution to rinse your feeders, wash your feeders, because vinegar water does not kill the bacteria that causes that, but a mild bleach solution does. So, but I would take them down for at least a couple of weeks. Are you seeing it now, or was this earlier? What happens is once that conjunctivitis breaks out in a population, several of the birds are going to die. Most of them will die. And then, of course, the ones who live are the ones who are a little more resistant to it, and the population comes back. But you definitely don't want to help spread it. So taking the feeders down, doing a really good cleaning, especially around all the ports, that helps your birds out a lot. That one. Okay. If feeders aren't exactly know what other food sources are they using, berries, grubs, you got it, every bit of it. There's still some seed left from the fall, especially stuff that's been covered up by the snow. There are some seeds, stock out there on the ground, especially berries. There are some berries that really don't become quite edible again, like I said, till after winter, late in the winter. When we talked to the kids about it, like wild currant, we always talked about they must taste like Brussels sprouts to me, because the birds don't eat them until late winter, early spring, whenever they're the last berries left. So there's that goes on. But a few days of 60 degrees, bugs are moving and grubs are twisting around in the leaf litter. So they're taking advantage of everything, that's available to them. It's supposed to drop back down. I think tomorrow morning it's supposed to be 20 again, I think here. So it's warm and cold, and that's what's going to happen now for the rest of the spring. But remember, seed eating birds. Didn't I put this? What did I put in here? Okay. For those birds that love to eat seeds, and they really, those seed stocks from the fall start to run really low in the spring, because nothing is producing a seed until the dandelions. And so when we had the first dandelion bloom, and you see them every, and all of a sudden you see the white seed heads, all of a sudden your goldfinches will disappear off your feeders instantly, because they're going to go take advantage. They're going to eat on those dandelion heads. The native sparrows love them. I know hair sparrows, white crowns, white throats, they're out there eating on those seed heads of those dandelions. And but those birds between now and then, they're still needing bird seed, and they're eating what seed they can find. But it gets stressful, they're going to come back into their feeders and eat it there. But you're exactly right, Boston guy. That's the kind of stuff they're looking for. All right, let's go back here.
Yep, you're in the right place.
Hi, Rick. Do you see a difference in the material a bluebird box is made of? I haven't. And I've been selling the recycled boxes. It's just like almost anything else that I sell. I have people who swear by them. I have people that curse them. And when we're in the store and then two customers get talking about a product, and one customer says, well, my birds won't come to that. Well, my birds, that's the only one that they'll use it. And I hear it all. And I've never seen, a huge difference. Obviously, the longevity of the box of the recycled plastics. A lot of people are concerned about how slippery they may be. But, man, it doesn't take, a micro fissure in the wood or in the plastic for those birds to cling onto with those nails. It's, usually it's not a problem for them. And of course, they put the rough places on the inside of the door for the babies to climb up to be able to get out of and things. So, old school, old fashioned. I don't blame you for wanting to use wood, but I know we sell a lot, and we had a lot of success with the recycled plastic boxes. Had a female pileated knocking many of my red neighbors. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I mean, Mario, the woodpeckers are looking to get to the heartwood of a tree. So, woodpeckers don't drill cavities typically, and except that young lady said she was doing the red cockaded woodpeckers paper, but most woodpeckers have to drill into dead wood. So a live tree that may have a wound from it where a limb broke off, well, that exposes that heartwood, and that's what those pileatids will go after to excavate and make a cavity out of. And so that's typically where if you see any woodpecker on a live tree drumming like that or drilling and knocking wood chips out, that's what it's from. It's from somewhere where there's a wound and they can get to that heartwood. Because remember, the heartwood inside of a tree is dead, and that's what they can excavate out. They can't they excavate, hard, hard fresh wood of a tree. So that's what's going on there. I have bird feeders and woods and discovered I put seed so like base of the tree near the feeders. The brown creepers will come. Excellent. Yeah. Brown creepers. And Elaine, what I have found is that they like the tree icing type suet that smears into the crevices of the bark. I've had the brown creepers exploring those crevices and getting that suet out of there. And I've had some people actually have them land on a suet feeder. That's not common at all. But I think if you do put it on that kind of to them, available for them in the tree or on the tree, up against the tree, they're more likely to find it because it's a natural way for them. All right. Be the earliest we could see ruby-throated hummingbirds starting to come to appear in the southeast, and that's some of the other earliest migrants. They're starting. The early migrants that are starting. For us, it's guys like the turkey vulture. That hasn't. You've had them all winter down there. We haven't. They're just starting to creep up here north of the Missouri River is one of the ways that we refer to it. And in March is when they really start to show up. Well, things like ruby-throated hummingbirds. Most of those have spent the winter down in the Yucatan Peninsula, to Mexico, most of those areas. Some winter in the southeastern U.S., along the coast especially. So there are some that are there that will, you look at and you go, whoa, wait a minute, he's too early. Well, he may have never left you for the winter. But for the most part, they'll start moving up north. We always say here in the Kansas City region, tax day. April 15th, a really good, easy to remember date. So anywhere south of here, you're talking early April, maybe even late March. It depends, where you're at. And, you could go to a site called journeynorth.org.
I'm looking up the website right now.
And yeah, Melanie's looking.
I pulled up the maps page so they can kind of look at what.
Yep. They have on there, and they track things like Baltimore Orioles and Bullock's Orioles and ruby-throated hummingbirds and purple martins and monarch butterflies. And they have maps to show people can call in with reports. Now, not everybody does, but it does give you an idea where birds are.
I think they've added things, other signs of spring.
Yeah, they do.
Earthworms.
Yeah, there's a lot. A lot of it is soil temperature for things like the earthworms and things. But typically, day length is what these birds trigger off of. The wind patterns help, especially once they've already started it. But it's when those days start to lengthen that's what triggers inside wild animals to start the nesting cycle, start the migration cycle. And so it's going to be pretty close every year. So whenever you typically see your ruby throats, I know I have people that, here, no matter what, they say their first ruby throat shows up the first week of May. And, I've had people who say every year, the earliest I've ever seen one in Kansas City was April Fool's Day many years ago. So there's always early birds. And there's always late birds. That's just how the world works. And so if you want to be really progressive and you really want to catch an early hummingbird, try to, put a hummingbird feeder out, but only put a little bit of nectar in it. The nectar lasts longer in the cooler temperature, so you don't have to change it as often, but you're going to waste it if you fill it to the top because it's not going to get drunk until more hummingbirds get here. So just put a little bit in it. Keep an eye on it. Obviously you've got blink cameras on it, things like that. It's getting to be so popular. The bird feeder camera, a hummingbird feeder with a camera in it, and it'll, you check your video at night. Whoa, one came by. I didn't even know it, kind of thing. So, yeah, be watching for them. To be pretty much on time. Every year we say, oh, they're going to be early this year. Oh, we're going to be late. It's amazing how pretty close to on time they are every year. I've had 3 bluebirds fledged last spring, and I have 3 have been coming to my feeders and their parents this year. Will those young birds breed in the spring? Yeah, yes. If they hatched last year, they should be ready to nest this year. The bluebirds will stay around and help raise the next bird. So if you had a nest in April and then you had a nest in June, you may see those young birds helping feed the babies of that second, the young, and that second nesting. And it's not unheard of for them to actually help the first brood of the next year. But they should be. And what happens is, of course, the adults won't tolerate the babies around mom and vice versa. And so they'll start chasing them away and they have to go find a territory elsewhere. But remember, can't have those boxes too close together. It'd be, they're not, if they're like purple martins, the colony nesters and have huge clusters of them, bluebirds won't tolerate that. They're 100 yards apart for sure. All right. Man, did you see the Erickson visit? Yeah. Yep. They're here in the spring and fall, 1 week or so. They do strip it. My story I always tell, you guys get tired of hearing it. In North Carolina years ago, it was a gentleman who worked at the conservation department there, and we were sitting around lunch one day, and he was talking about Yankee robins. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was talking about, he said he had the dogwood berry tree laden with dogwood berries, and he was going to pick them and sell them to the conservation department because they would buy flowering dogwood berries. And he said, before I could pick them, I said, a whole flock of those Yankee robins came in there and they ate every one of them. And he was talking about cedar waxwings, and they will strip a tree, especially in the fall. They're amazing birds, beautiful. All right. Yeah. And most of us do, Sandy. We love to have hyliades. My neighbor has an American holly. Yep. Absolutely. That's just what they do. That is the nature of that bird. They'll actually gorge themselves so full of berries they cannot fly. But luckily they have very inefficient digestive tracts. And so the berries pass through them very quickly. So before they can fly, they have to take a big poop and then they can fly. So yeah. A pair of fish crows that police them. Yes, I would imagine they don't take his mess. Well behaved. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong one. Hello, Derek. Welcome in. Yes, spring. Hey, you're like me. Red wings are truly my first sign of spring rather than robins. But this year I had a flock of about 12 red-winged blackbirds to spend the entire winter in my bird feeders. I have a wet area not far from the house, and I think that's where they nest. And they, with these milder winters, they're not all going south. And so I had a good flock of red-winged blackbirds that stayed around all winter long this year. Well, they got to clean my bird bath. No, yeah, that would be nice. It just helps on the algae, but you still have to dump it and refill it. Starling, we have a new visitor that we've caught on camera the last couple of nights. We have a raccoon that comes up and washes his food in the bird bath at night, so it's nasty first thing in the morning. So I have to get it cleaned out. But yeah, we caught him on the camera last night. God, they're cute, but they're messy. Jimmy, I had the same issue with robins taking all of the live mealworms solution and closed feeders. There you go. Thank you for that, because we're going to transition to the video. Somebody talking about that. One of the biggest questions this winter for me at the store have been, how do I keep the starlings out of my suet, and how do I keep the starlings out of my mealworms? Because the bluebirds was so numerous this year, and it's been a fight. So we brought in a couple of new caged feeders. If you've watched my starling suet stuff before, we talked about the upside down, suspending the suet upside down, which slows them down, but it doesn't stop them whatsoever. And then, so cage feeders tend to be the only one. Well, people don't like the cage feeders because they keep their larger woodpeckers out too. But Ruth has been field testing the feeder on the left. Now, this feeder on the left it's not marketed as anti-starling. It's marketed as anti-squirrel. So, but what she found was that the cage is not big enough. That's why I put these two side by side. The one on the right by Irva, the cage is big enough to keep the starlings from reaching in there and getting to the suet cage. Where the one on the left, they can actually reach the outer edges of the suet cake around there by craning their neck in there and pecking at it and get some of it. But as Ruth said today, she's had it out now for a couple of weeks. Once that suet cake gets knocked off and it gets smaller, then the starlings can't reach it. So it frustrates them and they can't get it. But you've got downy woodpeckers and smaller can fit in there, but not red bellies, as this is showing, and flickers obviously, and pileates obviously. But I mean, they can reach in there with their tongues. They can reach in there. Sometimes they can get far enough to be able to peck a little bit and break off flakes with their bill. Same thing. The one on the right, the star is big enough that keeps the starlings away, and it is marketed as an anti-starling suet feeder. They also have this exact same feeder with a bluebird dish instead of the double suet cage there, and you can put mealworms in there. But again, you've got to train. You've heard me say it many times. I'm convinced that bluebirds are not the smartest birds out there in the world, but you have to train those bluebirds to go in the cage, which they fit in there okay. But you have to sprinkle some loose mealworms on the inside for them to be able to lure them in and get them to the dish inside and feed from that. But it does keep the starlings out. Now, the other type that works on the same way, the same concept, are the mealworm houses. I don't exactly know what to call them, but these let me hide this real quick so you can see it a little bit better. They look like a hopper feeder, but the plexiglass down each side, instead of there being ports for the bird seed to feed out, is totally enclosed, and on the ends, on each end, there's a 1.5-inch diameter hole. Now you can see you lift the lid, like the picture on the bottom left is showing you lift the lid. That's where you put your mealworms in there, and you can put suet nuggets in there. You can put Bluebird and Friends mix with different things. But again, you have to lure the bluebirds in the feeder to get them used to it. And once they figure it out, they will go in and feed them. The starlings and the robins can't get to it. Now, how do you get the bluebirds in there? Because I've had them, I've had them see the mealworms that the plexiglass there and bang on the plexiglass. And then a chickadee comes along, goes in the hole and goes in, eats, and goes flying back out. And it must take the bluebirds a while to register that, but eventually, those in the Carolina wrens going in and out there figuring it out, then the bluebirds eventually, I've had people had great luck with these over the years. Now, it does help to start with live mealworms, because the live mealworms crawling around in that, and then you'd be able to see those through the plexiglass, helps lure them in. Obviously, the dried mealworms just lay there. And they're not as drawn to that. So there's this type of mealworm feeder is available in different kind of companies. Different companies, we've got 2 or 3 different ones in the store. But that, people got so frustrated with the starlings eating their mealworms and eating their suet. That's just a couple of alternatives for you. So thanks for that transition. Where were we?
You kind of lost. Go back just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Stephanie, right here. She's answering you about that one. She's answering you about the
It was about 4 weeks ago. I told my neighbor who also has feeders, but she didn't take her feeders. Oh, because of the conjunctivitis. Okay, I got you. Little known fact, Lakeside Nature Center, which is here in Kansas City, was the first place in the country they documented conjunctivitis in American goldfinches. They it used to be exclusive to the house finches, but now they've documented now in downy woodpeckers and a few other species. The good news is that goldfinches and downy woodpeckers have the ability to fight that disease off, whereas house finches don't. So we see the crashes in their population. So if you do see one with the crusty eyes as well, definitely take your feeders down for a couple of weeks, clean them up really well. Yeah. Yeah, right. It does seem to be bad timing. At least, let's see. Where do red-bellied woodpeckers hang out together year long? Just team up nesting season. It's about 2 months. Obviously the pair bond is really strong during the nesting season. I don't find that they're necessarily together when the fall and winter. When we see them out in that, some woodpeckers. And the red-cockaded woodpecker that the young lady mentioned earlier is a prime example of family groups. They travel in family groups all the time. Downies tend to bicker and stay in family groups and all a lot more so than I think red bellies do. I think obviously you're paired up in the nesting season. They're going to be with their young when they fledge, but not so much the rest of the year. Peace from Crawford, Colorado. I'm loving the northern flickers and the single red. Absolutely. You guys get those beautiful red shafted flickers
so
out
the
there.
next one, they're talking to each other.
Okay. You guys are talking there.
And then there's the map.
Yep. And this is the link to the map of Journey North, so you can check on migration. When we lived in Southeast Alabama, we would start seeing the ruby throats end of February into the second week of March, 70 miles from the coast. Great information. Thank you for that, Steve. Never having lived that far south, I didn't know when you guys would see them there, in that part of the country. Good information. The first ruby throated hummer March 25th of last year. Okay. Yeah, you got it. We're going to do a program on journaling here before too long. I got a guest is going to be on. We're going to get coordinated on a date. And, that's the kind of great information if you keep up with a journal. You can check every year to see what the date is of returns and departures. This is my first time live. Have you done a talk about the iridescence of feathers? Yeah, I shimmer different. Yeah, I have. I've done a whole. There's a program. If you go to my YouTube channel and search my channel, the search bar and search feathers. I did a whole program on feathers and the different types of feathers and iridescence, and there's no blue color and pigment in feathers, and a lot of cool facts like that. So
I think they're still talking to each other.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Andrew wants to know when have we put up our bluebird box?
I have not. We have been so busy, Andrew. yeah, it is crazy. I did. Hopefully Ruth was gone for a couple of weeks, and so the store we were a little bit shorthanded and stuff. So hopefully I can get it up now because they're going to start looking really quick here. Before we look today, the first time since fall. Yep. Like I said, we've had ours around this winter. Made a couple of bluebird nest boxes last year and used the oval shaped entrance. Interesting. Hopefully recommended. Found out the hard way the starlings can enter. Yes, they can. Just finished changing my boxes back to the 1.5 inch hole. Good for you, Mike. I have, in 40 years of doing this, I have seen so many bluebird box designs come and go, and so many claims made that this sparrows can't get into this, starlings can't get into that, yada yada. And I've seen them all disproved. I know what people are doing, and I admire it. They're trying to come up with a design to make it easier but really, you're going to have a battle. If you're going to be a good bluebird landlord, you've got to help them. You've got to clean out those sparrows. If you've got a box that starlings can get into, change that hole. Because the 1.5 inch hole is the only one. Some people swear by the slot entrance holes. I've seen them beat so many times, and I am old school. A traditional 1.5 inch hole bluebird box is what I prefer. They attached a suet feeder onto a plank and surrounded it with hardware mesh. Yeah,
We've talked about that.
We've talked about that. I don't know if I'm worried sometimes about hardware cloth and things like that being really rough on the feathers and feather wear on birds and going in and out and things like that. So I'd prefer it to be more of the 1.5 inch mesh of coated wire, so it's easier on the bird feathers squeezing in and out of there. But I'm not saying it's wrong. I have made a top card for suet feeders by drilling holes. Yeah. You can. If you're going to make those starlings, it suspend upside down. My brother used a old board he had and suspended the suet cage underneath it. And they work great for him. But they're smart.
They're talking to each other.
You guys are talking to each other, all right? No reports of new bird flu. Good on the report this week or so. That's right. Thank you, Rick. Rick has chickens in North Carolina, and they have meetings and Zooms and stuff on it. Good to hear that. I still get asked, but nothing like I was earlier in the season. Maybe the price of eggs will start coming down, right? The red-winged blackbirds finally went away. I was out. It was still. Yeah, that's right, Wesley. You deal with them all winter. We deal with them up here during migration in those big numbers. The good thing about red-winged blackbirds is they, while they're a pain in the butt when you got 200 in your yard, I don't disagree with that at all. That doesn't last very long. That just happens when they're arriving in the spring and when they're passing back south in the fall. And so patience pays off when it comes to red-winged blackbirds, and they're kind of pretty, but it won't last. They're going to break up and go into the wetlands and start pairing up and start their nesting cycle, and they're going to eat insects at that point once the temperatures warm up. All right, Matthew, if anyone wants to know how long a sharp-shin takes to eat a pigeon, 5 hours, okay? Yep. Just got on. Hi, everyone. Hello, Miss Ruth Simmons. She was just talking about how long it takes a sharp-shin to eat a pigeon. I was going to tell your story about the neighbor who had the little chicken, what was it, a banny or something behind you, the Cooper's hawk caught and was under that tree all day long digesting it. He ate that whole chicken. Luckily, it was under an evergreen, so nothing could get to it. Kathy Sparks. Oh, hello, Kathy. I hope everyone's doing. Yeah. Questions, comments. Thank you for taking that answer. Absolutely. Thanks for you guys for participating. From Massachusetts, I've been done daily journaling using a simple spreadsheet for several years. It's visitors. It is, Jerry. Thank you for that comment because those. I don't know if there was a special on about a lady in Central Park who led bird walks for years and years and years. And she kept journals and it was her bird list. And she had them in tiny and she had pages upon pages and pages. Well, she passed away a few years ago at the special. And all of those journals were donated to the Cornell Lab of Ornithology for them to go through and enter all that old data, historical bird sightings in Central Park, which was great information. I mean, that stuff, all that helps us to track patterns in birds and population trends and season to season. So, yeah, don't undersell yourself whenever you're keeping lists like that. It's really important. Oh, that's sad. Really? Bird flu. I had not seen that report, Andrew. Yep. But in the terms of great blue herons, 100 isn't that many. There's, you hate to hear any of them dying, but, that's not a huge number. But, anything by the bird flu is going to get the attention. Your last year, Orioles started April 28th and Hummers May 2nd in Kankakee. Very good. Yep. Well, we said here in Kansas City, some years the Orioles beat the Hummers and some years the Hummers beat the Orioles. It just depends on the year. Yeah, many banned him. I remember that story well. That bird that couldn't fly for a while after eating that bird. Had a red-bellied and a red-headed woodpecker come to the feeders, but never downy. That is interesting. At feeders in South Georgia. That's interesting. I can't imagine that it would be rare down there. I grew up in Southeast North Carolina, and we had tons of downies. That is interesting. I know that Harry's would be more uncommon down there for you, but I would think you would have downies, Greg. That's an interesting comment. I didn't know that. Well, guys.
We got to tell them.
Oh, we got to do Melanie said we have to do a commercial. Hold on here. Hi, this is Mark McKellar. Mark's back here, but let me close this so you can see it better. We new coffee mugs. Look at that. Oh, there it is right there.
And they're on the website.
And they're on the website. They look great. Yep. And then
is Shirley still on here?
I don't know, Shirley, are you still on? Shirley asked about a canvas bag. So we've got a new canvas bag source. It holds 2 10-pound bags of Mark's No Waste blend. Really well.
It holds 30 pounds.
It holds 30. It will hold 30 pounds. But we tried the other day putting 2 10-pound bags of birdseed in it. It worked really well.
Okay, so. And the size is, because she was asking, 20 by 14 by 5.
20 by 14 by 5.
And it is, I think this is called gusseted.
Gusseted, yep.
Gusseted at the bottom. I can't get over there.
It is gusseted at the bottom, what she's showing you, so it does expand. So.
Yes. So Shirley, thank you for that. It took me a while to find it.
Yep, she definitely was the inspiration as to looking that up. Steve, thank you for joining us tonight. Yep, and no Sophie tonight. Sophie decided to spend the night upstairs, so can't have her say goodnight. I have a feeling about them. Your sense, yeah. I need jelly. Yep, absolutely great. Yep, they will. We've had. I'm telling you, with these milder winters, we're getting more and more orioles wintering throughout the country now. We had a couple in Missouri last winter, and more than that. Boston guy, thanks for joining in. Thanks for the questions. Yeah, it is. You're right, Sandy. I can't believe it's already been an hour. That's amazing. It flies. My feeder gets hammered by Downey's daily in Central Florida. Well, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it just shows you every yard is different, folks.
Yeah, remind them.
Oh, Sandy, remind you, don't forget to like the video, please. We'd love to get a bunch of likes tonight. Being that I'm from West Virginia, I have a question for you. Do you think Mothman is real? That's funny. Could have been a sandhill crane doing his dance. Yeah, I like it. No, I don't believe Mothman is real. I guess I can answer that. Kirk, thank you so much for joining in. Jan, thank you so much. Yeah, have a good evening. Thanks. You're absolutely welcome. Please send in ideas for more programs. I mean, I keep a list of those, and we're going to do some more. Somebody wants me to talk about these books behind me and make recommendations on where the books. I want to do a session on that. Some of my favorite the nature books and conservation books, and so we're going to get onto that. All right. Thanks, Mark. Derek, thank you for joining in. Wesley, yep. Yeah, Downey's the most common woodpecker in North America, for sure. Right out. Guys, thanks so much. Have a good evening. Till next time, let's talk birds.